Today, guys, I'm gonna tell you about all the ways my expensive, noble, superior, and refined, perfect companion, my $3,000 Doberman Pinscher, tried to manipulate me. This is all 100% true, guys, and these dogs, they're just insanely intelligent, and often they use that intelligence for their, evil plans. And before you know it, they'll be training you, not the other way around. Okay, so first up, he used behavior bursts to try to manipulate me. Yes, my $3,000 Doberman, he would occasionally, act poorly, have poor behavior. I'm not blaming him for that. All dogs do it, especially when they're young. But when I'd start trying to correct that behavior, he would put his intelligence to use to figuring out how to get me to do it otherwise. And what I mean by that is he'd have a behavior burst. He'd actually start doing the behavior significantly worse when I was trying to correct him for it to dissuade me from doing it again and push me into seeing how hard these boundaries are that I've set. So let me give you like a little example. His puppy biting and nipping stage. I would correct that by putting up my hand, giving a firm no, and disengaging him and not giving attention to him, turning my back on him. So what did he do? He hit me harder, more relentlessly, nipping and biting harder. Why? Because he didn't know exactly what type of reaction I would give, but he did know that it couldn't continue on, the puppy nipping and biting. So he knew that ignoring him would end if he continued to hit me harder and harder with the ongoing nipping and biting, even once I've disengaged him. It's not that he didn't understand that he was getting less engagement because of his actions. He understood that perfectly. He also understood that I wouldn't continue to allow him to just hammer me with the nipping and biting, so some sort of action would happen, and what are you gonna do? He's still nipping, still biting. You still trying to ignore me, buddy? I'm gonna go even harder. Honestly, this should have been my first sign that it was all downhill from here. So after a little time, after he grew up a little bit, my really high-end, luxury Doberman figured out that if he was in distress, I would come to help him. If I was ignoring him, his ball would purposely, for example, he would roll it underneath a chair and start barking until I got up to come grab his ball, and then guess what? It's playtime. Or another thing that he would do, this was much more common for him, is he would purposely get himself, all 100 pounds of himself, trapped on the other side of something small, like a laundry basket, for example, and start barking at me and looking at me if I didn't respond until I got up and saved the day for this 100-pound impressive Doberman by gently moving this laundry basket out of the way. It's not honestly that he gave any kind of crap about the laundry basket. It was that he cared that I would stand up, walk over, engage with him, and he get some interaction now. Before I knew it, honestly, I was playing his game by his rules. Yeah, thanks, buddy. This insanely intelligent and rather expensive dog also implemented something called Redirection Manipulation to manipulate me in the ways that he wanted. Okay, he was pricey at the time. Nowadays, $3,000 for a Doberman, not that expensive. Essentially, long ago, when I had a Doberman but I wasn't a dog trainer yet, I didn't really understand how to properly use a redirection at that time. And it would basically go like this. My dog would bark at the fence out in the backyard, for example. And what do these dogs want more than anything? These Velcro owner-focused Dobermans, they want engagement from their owners and attention and focus from their owners. So he would go barking at the backyard fence. Well, guess what would happen? I would try to redirect him by bringing him in the house, redirecting him to something new. Namely, maybe a treat or a toy or some other thing to re-engage him in a different, more productive way, I thought, instead of the barking. Well, guess what? That might work on some of the, slower breeds, but with the Doberman, they figured it out pretty quick. And before you know it, it looks like this. Bark, treat, bark, treat, bark, treat. It's almost like they tag up on the fence. They'll run out, bark at the fence a couple times, turn around and wait for their treat or their toy. If you fall right into that, you're gonna be just dishing out the treats and fall right into their hands. He's actually starting to train me, that little punk. Well, my high-end, never can go bad Doberman also did something else that was relatively annoying, especially when I figured out what he was doing. He would purposely ignore commands that he knew very well. Not because he was just dominant or headstrong, he was, but actually just because he was too damn smart. See, he would select a specific command that he didn't want to listen to, just to see what would happen, such as the stand-up command, which he knew very well from a seated position. And I'd ask him to stand up, and ask him to stand up, and ask him to stand up, and he'd purposely sit there and look at me. Why? Because frankly, he was tired of training and he wanted to show. He wanted me to flail my arms around and basically entertain him for a short time. And before I was studying animal behavior, sometimes I'd fall into this trap. Another favorite manipulation technique of my opportunistic Doberman, opportunistic pilfering. He would basically find something that he knew he wasn't supposed to have, such as a pair of socks, for example, and take off with them and go running with them and ignoring any commands. So I had a choice. Do I pursue him and engage in this guy's game, which is what he wanted, or do I not? Well, here's what happens. You decide not to engage and pull back, and your Doberman knows he's not supposed to have those socks. Well, guess what he does? Starts tearing into him even harder. Another behavior burst, another form of manipulation that they do to actually get that reaction out of you, even if you try to ignore them because you know what they're going for. They just want you to come in and play with them. Smart and headstrong and dominant, and a little pushy. Kind of makes an interesting mix. Nose nudging, or what a lot of us call booping. Something these dogs do a lot to get that attention from their owners, and sometimes it can hurt. It doesn't matter if you're a 90-year-old grandma and you're getting hit in the butt over and over with a nose, it's gonna happen if you have a Doberman. It basically started with just little physical things to get extra pets, extra scratches behind the ears, like leaning into my legs, for example, maybe while I was cooking or doing something else. And then slowly it progressed. And if I didn't give him the petting or the scratching then, now comes the boops. Now comes the nose hits right in the side to get that petting or scratching. And man, could he hit hard. You guys, and almost all Dobermans do this. It's crazy. You're on a Zoom call, not paying attention to them, boop. You're watching TV, boop. On the phone, boop. Cooking food, boop. Doesn't matter. They know and they figured this out. Another very interesting form of manipulation my, refined, high-end $3,000 Doberman would involve himself in, the zoomies. It happens at the witching hour. Have you heard of it? It's, usually between 6 to 9 p.m. and it's basically when Dobermans lose their minds and turn into werewolves, and before you know it, they're doing donuts in your living room or in your front room in front of you or your kids as a way to not only get out that extra energy, but hopefully initiate a game in the process. Okay, to be honest, this one was a little bit of fun, but it was starting a game and playing on his terms when he wanted, so it is technically manipulation, but it was pretty cute. He kind of suckered me in with his cuteness. Next up, my Doberman would employ faking going to the bathroom to get what he wanted. I know, it might blow your mind, but we had bells hanging from the door going to the backyard, and when he had to go to the bathroom, he'd ring those bells. Well, soon he realized that, if he didn't really want to put his head through this really expensive dog door that Dad spent all day installing, and would rather, have the doors open for him like a butler might, he'd go up and smack the bells. So I'd open the door and he'd go out, maybe go to the grass for a second, but definitely not go to the bathroom, and just start playing around. My Doberman Arlo also eventually learned to employ the same manipulation tactic at bedtime when I put him in his crate. Basically, he learned that one short little high-pitched bark or yelp during the night kind of meant that he had to go to the bathroom, and it was fine. Daddy would get up and let him out. Well, guess who started to do that one little high-pitched bark or yelp when I'd first put him in the crate at night because he didn't want to go to bed? Yep, he would do it in hopes that I'd let him out. So, a lot of first one-off high-pitched barks right when bedtime started. Guys, let's be really honest here. Owning a Doberman, it can absolutely feel like a chess match between you and them. Here's the thing. Dobermans aren't just manipulating us out of stubbornness. They're wired this way, with intelligence levels that rank among the top dog breeds in the world. And you know what really fuels that sharp mind of theirs? A proper diet. That's why Doberman owners are turning to Ollie, because their fresh, human-grade meals aren't just food. They're really fuel for your Doberman's incredible brain power and all that energy they have. They're formulated with veterinary nutritionists, and Ollie meals deliver just the perfect balance of nutrients to keep your Doberman driven, focused, and ready for whatever challenge, or trick that they throw your way. Think about it, guys. I mean, you wouldn't put like low-grade, 3-year-old, stale, gummed-up fuel in a high-performance car, would you? So why would you feed your Doberman processed kibble? I mean, Ollie's has these fresh ingredients, and it really helps to build their shiny coat, their strong muscles, and give them that kind of unmatched Doberman drive, which can definitely work for you, sometimes against you, of course. But all this happens while supporting their overall health and their well-being when you use Ollie. So check out that link down below in the description of this video, plus that coupon code down there as well to get 60% off your first box. That way you can give it a try for yourself. Trust me, everything starts with what's in your dog's bowl. So make it something really good for them. Give Ollie a try. The next manipulation tactic he would use, soliciting behavior. And I know, it sounds like something you see in the red light district, right? Well, my Doberman did it too, but in a little bit different way, of course. Basically, when he wanted more attention, he'd just come up and put that slobbery toy right in your lap. And the more slobbery, the better. When he started realizing that when it was like really slobbery, he'd get me to jump up and do something quicker, it started noticeably appearing more often, more slobbery in my lap. Dobermans really love to do this, trust me. And it gets really fun and interesting when they start applying this to other things. Like, I don't know, when they start slamming shut your laptop when you're trying to get work done.
Oh, shit.
Another favorite manipulation tactic of Arlo, my expensive high-end Doberman, was false guarding. Now, a lot of us get Dobermans because of their protective instincts. Well, sooner or later, they might figure out if they pretend there's a guardian incident, you're gonna show up and they're gonna have some fun with you. An example, barking out the front window when there's nothing going on. My Doberman learned this. He learned that if he just perked up real quick, roo, 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 and started barking out the window, guess who would jump up and come right up to the window and look out with him with an astonished look on his face? Yeah, sucker old dad. If you love the Doberman breed, hit that like button down below and don't forget to subscribe to us there also while you're down there, and we'll keep learning about this crazy, smart, a little bit manipulative, but yeah, a ton of fun dog breed together. I'll see you guys next time.